Hi, you're listening to Everyday Superpower, a place where you can learn a lot about an individual or individuals purely by observing how they act, how they behave, and how they gesture in the real world. We keep it nice and simple and offer information. By the end of the video, you'll be able to assess and see the patterns in your day to day. So, without further ado, let's get on to it. Click like, click subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment. And today we're going to be talking about territory and personal space. We've done a few videos regarding that, but now we're going to talk about material possessions and ownership of space and violations of space. So when we talk about property, we can talk about literal ownership of territory, such as a person's home, a person's office, an individual's car, or having a particular sub-territory within a shared territory, such as a particular room in a house, a particular chair, and so on and so forth, like a space at a table. And it may go without mention, but subconsciously people are aware, or at least if they're not aware, they may be at risk of potentially putting themselves at odds with this individual by invading that territory. Okay? So let's talk about a few circumstances. I've seen an interview, a late night talk show interview with a particular CEO of an organisation who was known for being a bully. Now he gets invited onto stage with the talk show host, and as he comes onto the stage, he sits on the talk show host's desk. Now, what may be considered banter or friendship, realistically speaking, that's a violation on the individual's territory. The talk show host is going to feel uncomfortable because that's their desk, that's their ownership. That desk and the scale of the desk is what shows that the talk show host is the boss. But by sitting on that desk without any conflict raised to move that person, that's a direct challenge of the authority in the communication. It shows a complete disrespect and disregard to the other individual, and by the other individual being in a position where they can't argue against it, they allow submittance to the aggressor. You see how territory and personal space can be used. No words need to be said. When we talk about a job interview, someone whom is invited into the boss's office has to be wise about where they sit, because you want to sit in the appropriate chair. You don't want to sit in somebody else's, definitely not the boss's chair, because if you are to do so, you're invasive. This person doesn't know you, and even if they did know you, what's theirs is theirs, and you have no right to take something of somebody's else. We're very primitive. Our resource and our territory is very important to us. Kids at school write their names on the underside or the outskirts. They scrape their initials into their desks, or so on and so forth. It's a show of territorial ownership. It's not purely childish behaviour or boredom. It's primitive, animalistic ownership of what they believe is theirs. They got there, so they're going to write their name on it, regardless if they own the table or not. At the gym, people who are using a piece of equipment, when they're absent from that equipment, will leave a water bottle or an item, a jumper of sorts, a piece of clothing, on that equipment. to state this is being used, this is mine. Now, if somebody had left a water bottle on that piece of equipment and in their absence somebody came and started using that equipment, that would be an infringement on that person's territory, regardless if they own the equipment or not. I've made the statement that I'm using it. So by default, you ignoring that non-verbal statement, you're taking the piss out of me. You see where I'm coming from? You have to be very careful, and it's a great way to make friends by not transgressing these rules. Very important. You have to understand who you're dealing with, and you have to be respectful to their personal space, because consciously they might not think of it, but subconsciously that primitive mammalian brain is going to be screaming, they're standing on my toes, they're getting too close, they're taking what's mine. And if you take someone's territory or space, if you sit in someone's chair, if you use someone's equipment without asking, how far is that from taking someone's livelihood, someone's partner, someone's children? Okay, it's the principle involved. So when people say that person owed me 5 pence or 5 cents and didn't give me it back, and somebody says, well, what does that matter? It's only that much. It doesn't matter, it's the principle. So you're best off not standing on people's toes, allowing them their space, allowing them that what they believe is theirs, observing what they believe is theirs, allowing them to take their space on the table or take their special chair. And unless you're willing to establish dominance and create conflict, leave it be and set up camp elsewhere. I hope this was a informative video. We could talk about this and use so many different day by day, hour by hour, environment by environment explanations, but there's a few starting ones. See you later. Goodbye.